Hello and welcome to another little reading vlog. I thought I'd just film the intro in the car here while I'm driving because, you know, when's the time to actually sit down and film anything? So am I going the right direction? Hold on. Lesson learned. I think I was going the right way, but it's really, I don't know. I think I could have turned back there. Anyway, I can go this way too. It says I'll be there in 8 minutes. I have to go to the post office and drop off a package that I'm sending back. So I thought I would tell you that I'm going to do another trying some YA books and seeing if they're any good. One is going to be a highly anticipated book, and the others are probably going to be ones I've like never heard of or don't know much about. So we're going to start with one that I had never heard of until Chloe from Chloe Frizzle. I saw, read it, and gave it 4 stars and said it was a time loop, like rom-com, and I liked another time loop, well, sort of a time loop, that In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. I really liked that book a lot. I gave it 4 stars because I thought it got really kind of sci-fi-ish, but I didn't think it was going to. And this one's kind of the same way, I think. So anyway, the first book is See You Yesterday. I cannot remember the author, but it'll be here on the screen. I have already started it, and it is very similar to these other time loop books that I have read. I feel like they usually start, you know, the beginning is like they kind of panic about being in the time loop. They don't know why they're in the time loop. They Google it, you know, they try to figure it out. It reminds me too of like The Husbands. It was kind of similar vibe, even though it wasn't actually a time loop necessarily, but it was still kind of a same premise. It reminds me of In a Holidays. So I feel like it's following the same kind of structure, but the one thing that's different, and it tells you this in the plot summary, is that, well, one, it's set at college, which is nice because it is YA, but being set at college is really different, I feel like, than most of these young adult books that are set. I'm trying to get you out of the sun. Here we go. Most of these are set, of course, in high school, but I love it when they're set in college because then it's like the, you know, readers are probably in high school still, but they can see what college will be like, which I always thought was really cool because, you know, you don't always get to see that perspective. You always see just high schoolers reading about high schoolers, but now it's high schoolers can read about college students and see what the experience will be like. I've just repeated that, I realize, sorry. Okay, hey, I'm turning here, and I actually know that now. I am actually turning. I know where I'm going. One big thing that is different, that, like I said, it's not a spoiler because it's in the synopsis though, is that the like love interest, who's also like at first her enemy, kind of, you know, enemies to lover sort of thing, knows about the time loop, and he's stuck in it too. In fact, he's been stuck longer than she has, and maybe he like sucked her into it or something, kind of. So yeah, that's really different. And well, I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say another time loop book or something similar that I've read had a similar premise. I just don't want to spoil that one. But it was a huge reveal when you found out that somebody else knows about the time loop and somebody else is stuck in it too, and you're like, wait, what? And it was really cool. So I do kind of wish I hadn't known, but I guess they had to tell you that because it really is the plot of the book. But anyway, it is pretty good so far. The main character she has a very interesting personality, and I kind of like it. She's not just like, oh, I've got to learn the ways of college and I'm so inexperienced at all of this and I'm so just shy and anxious all the time. That's not her. Like, that is not the plot. I don't know why I thought that'd be the plot, because usually I feel like that's what it is when they're going to college or experiencing something new for the first time. No, she's like hits it and gets it. And she does have kind of a, I don't know, strong personality, and she doesn't care that she's like kind of just like not likable, I guess. And anyway, I don't mind her, and I do think it's pretty funny. There are several times I've kind of chuckled, like I've definitely laughed, at least internally, maybe not outwardly, but it is pretty funny so far. So I am enjoying it. I'm about 30% of the way through, so when I get maybe 6%, about 2/3 of the way through, I will update you again, let you know if it's still going well. Stay tuned, you'll find out. Quick update. I've not updated you in a long time. I am way farther than 66% into this book, but I just had to give you a very quick update. Why is it so echoey right here? Is it because I'm near this corner? I don't know. It's really weird. Anyway, I am still reading this book that I just forgot the name of. See You Yesterday. I can never remember the name of this book, but I will say, okay, one, I'm enjoying it in the sense that, like, I want to know what's going to happen. I've got to know how this thing's going to wrap up. But two, I think it's way too long. This book's over 400 pages, and it's like a new adult kind of like realistic fiction, you know, little sci-fi, little romance kind of thing in there. I don't know what genre you'd really classify this as. It's both sci-fi and romance. Probably a little heavier on the romance, but I really like the sci-fi aspect. But for that type of book, I just think that this is way too long. The middle has dragged out. Finally, just when I thought that I was like, oh my gosh, when is something going to happen? I'm bored. Then they finally let something kind of like big happen. The main character made a big discovery. So that has been somewhat exciting. What I'm predicting, I hate third act conflicts with romance. I don't read much romance, but every time I do, I hate that they get together and then for some reason there's something that happens towards the end that like they're already in a fight and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's usually something really contrived. It just doesn't seem natural. So I was like, oh, please don't do this in this book. And I don't think it's going to. My prediction is the main characters are going to get together before the end of the book, and that then the last big conflict is them actually having to get out of this time loop, I think. Because if it's the other way around, if they get out and then get together, I don't know. It's just not as satisfying. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But either way, I hope that that's what happens. I hope there is no third act conflict. I mean, that could be bad if they get together early on, then try to get out of the time loop and have some sort of conflict while they're trying to get out of it. That would be really annoying. I do wish that there were more characters. Like, they're trying to make some more characters important. And yes, there are some, but I don't know. You're really just following the two main characters. A little bit of the roommate as well. But I don't know. I'm just kind of like bored with these two main people now. I'm like, okay, just get together. Come on, let's just get this over with. So, like I said, I like the sci-fi time travel aspect of it. I like them having to try to find this like mysterious professor. She has disappeared off all the records. Nobody knows anything about her anymore. She supposedly, I mean, who knows at this point, taught a class about time travel at their college, and they're trying to find her because they think she might have some answers for them. So I think that that is so far my favorite part, is that they are trying to track her down and get answers. Now, how they'll get out of the time loop, I don't know, but based on how long it has gone on, it better be super satisfying ending. Right now, I am predicting this book will be 3.5 stars. It would have to blow my mind at the end to be 4. It would have to do something terrible to probably just be a 3, because I am more interested in it than I expected. And the fact that I want to know what's going to happen is going to give it to the 3.5 instead of just a 3. But it's not anything higher than that because I am kind of bored. So anyway, I will let you know my final thoughts as soon as I finish it, which will hopefully be later today or maybe tomorrow. Well, this is sad. There's wasabi peas all over the floor. I had this and they spilled somehow. I think they're also all over this drawer. Oh my gosh. My dog is trying to eat them, and I'm pretty sure she should definitely not have wasabi peas. They're super spicy. Okay, while I'm sweeping though, I will tell you that I finished the book. It didn't take me near as long as I thought it was going to. In fact, I read, I don't know, at least 30% of the book today or more. I don't know. I just kind of powered through and have been having a lot of listening time today. So, my thoughts, 3.5 stars. Yeah, I mean, I was hooked, obviously. Like, I wanted to know where it was going. To the point that like I really couldn't stop listening to it, because I had another audiobook that I really wanted to listen to, but I was like, oh man, I really want to know what happens in this other one though, so I guess that's a good sign. However, I'm trying to make sure I got all the P's. I think I did. However, yeah, there were still some issues. Like, mainly the ending was pretty lackluster. I wanted it to be some epic, big sci-fi thing, and it was like, oh, it's this. I mean, it was really, really kind of a letdown at the end for how much kind of build up there was and for how long it took to get there. So if you're wanting sci-fi, it's not really this. It's really more, this is a love story. I was hoping it would go more the sci-fi route, but it did not. So I'm going to give it 3.5 and call it a relative success, because it was a young adult, well, or new adult romance that I did not DNF. So that's a good thing. I don't know what the next vlog will be for this video. We'll just kind of play it by ear, and when I find another, drop the bread. When I find another young adult book, I will let you know. Hello, I apologize that this clip is backlit, but here we are. So I am reading another young adult book, and I thought I should probably tell you about it before I get any farther into it, because it is going to be our second book for this vlog. This time we are reading an ARC. We are reading Darkly by Marisha Pessl. I don't know when this will come out. The book may be already out by the time this comes out, because I think this comes out in November. I don't even know. But Marisha Pessl is the author of Night Film, and which I read and liked, gave 4 stars. Neverworld Wake, which is my favorite young adult book of all time, I gave 5 stars. And Special Topics in Calamity Physics that I really, really want to read. So I wanted to read it this year, but I was like, you know what, I'll read this one instead. Like, every year I'm going to read me a Marisha Pessl book, it looks like. I also reread Neverworld Wake and loved it. But Darkly, is this not beautiful? Is about when it said game, I thought it meant video games. I thought it was about a lady that had popular video games. No, it's like board games. Yes, it's about this lady who her name's Louisiana Veda or something. Like, she's got an interesting name. She had this empire that was super wildly successful, but all of her games are really dark and like disturbing, and some of them were banned because they're so like horrific, and now nobody has any copies of them. And like, so I mean, the people that do, because they don't really like sell them anymore, they're worth, you know, a fortune if you own a Darkly. Darkly is the name of her company. And that's just sort of the background. Then one of the main characters gets basically she applies sort of for this internship and she winds up getting it. And then she goes to this like creepy island where the factory is where they made these board games, and other competitors are there too. Well, are they competitors? I don't really know. There's supposed to be 7 people that are there for this internship, but it turns out it's kind of more like a little bit of a competition because they have to solve this like mystery once they get there. I think the less you know about it, the better, because that's what I'm gathering. I knew very little going into this, except kind of what I just told you, except I literally thought it was about video games instead of board games. And it's so good. It's so good. I think that there are going to be a lot of twists and turns. I'm on page 91 of 343. And right now they just got to the island. They didn't even know that they were doing that. They thought they were going just for an internship at like the main company in London, but instead they're actually at the factory that made the board games, which is like insane because no one's ever allowed to go there. Everything is so secretive around this company. It does kind of in some ways remind me of Night Film, just because instead of being like a really secretive movie director that had like really scary movies that are banned, now it's the board games instead. But it is young adult. And so far though, I'm enjoying it very much. I can't say I enjoy it right now as much as I did in Everworld Wake, but it's very possible this could be a 5-star read for me. I have only had one other book this entire year that was 5 stars. It is September, people. It is September. I've had one book that was 5 stars, and that was the Elon Musk biography, and that was it. And that was nonfiction. I've not had a single fiction book to be 5 stars. In fact, I'm currently also rereading Vicious right now, just because sorry, I'm like really distracted because I noticed my husband left these like little cute fairy light things on, and I'm sure the battery's dying in them because they've been on forever. I gotta remember to turn those off. Oh, and by the way, my husband's in New York City. Like, he just left to go to New York with his friend because they're going to tour the X-Men mansion and train like an X-Man for 3 hours, and he's going to a trip just for that. So anyway, he's on his way to the airport, and I'm by myself with the child, but of course he gets to go to daycare the next couple days. But while he's taking a huge nap right now, I'm going to read for a while, so I thought I would just let you know what I'm reading and let you know that this could be a 5-star book. We're finally getting into the thick of the mystery right now with it, so we'll see if the mystery itself is captivating. I don't know if maybe the main character, or like, I don't know if that Louisiana lady, like, she died when she was like 30 something years old of a parent suicide, but I'm like, okay, she's probably still alive. I think it was like she drowned in the lake or, river or something, but then her body was never found. I'm like, well, she's still alive. So like, who is she going to be? Obviously, or that's just what I'm predicting. I won't tell you if I'm right because I don't want to give any spoilers in this, but let's just say I am very intrigued. Oh, and it does come out in November. I see. Yeah, November. And of course, this is just the ARC, the advanced reader copy. So there could be some differences in what I read versus the final product, but I imagine the main plot and stuff will be similar. It's probably just like little minor word changes and stuff. But anyway, I will let you know how it goes. I'm sure you really care. Oh wow, yeah, you can see what video I've been watching there. Here's our Halloween setup down here. That's the little thing right there that I had to go and turn off. Yeah, here's our little Halloween setup downstairs. Isn't that super cute? And you may be saying, why is there a mattress in your floor? It's because that's where Ash does his jumps. He jumps off that thing. Oh, and then look at our posters. You can't really see them because the light reflecting, but we have Casper. Oh yeah, we switched them out. We have normal like movie posters down here. Then we switched them for all Halloween movies. And then at Christmas time, we're going to switch them for all Christmas movies. What a good idea my husband had. So we've got Casper, Nightmare Before Christmas, Ernest Scared Stupid, one of my favorites as a child, The Addams Family, Scary Movie, and Candyman, the only actually scary movie up here, but it was one of my favorites. I don't think it's actually really that scary, but I love it. So same position, a little bit longer, a little bit later, maybe 2 hours since I last talked to you, and I just had to say I have another theory. What if they're all in the board game? Like, these Darkly games are insane, right? Like, what if this is another game? What if this is the secret, like, game that nobody knew about or whatever? Because there is apparently one that is, like, one that they didn't know had been made or something. I'm like, what if this is the game and they are the players in the game? I don't know. Either that or the lady is still alive, or both. Like, there's one or the other. Like, something is happening. But if that's the case, I feel like it's too predictable. So, I'm going to keep reading. I'll keep you updated. So yeah, we're in Kentucky, and we're somehow still getting the hurricane. Wind gust of 64 miles per hour. Look at this. It's not right now, but it sure was. Sorry, my child is counting in the background. We're trying to entertain him. But yeah, just had to show you the hurricane. Crazy stuff. Hello, a little fall ambiance for you here. There you go. Let's do an update. Oh, I apologize for my hair. I ran 4.5 miles this morning, and then I cleaned the car, and then I did the dishes and cleaned the kitchen. So I've been really busy for the last few hours, and I'm on fall break right now. So child's at daycare, and that's why I'm able to actually update you for a minute. So yesterday I got over halfway through Darkly. Let's just say I'm so sad. This book is not what I thought it was going to be. But what I didn't like is that it reminded me of Sinless Sins, a very strange fantasy book. It just was giving me those vibes. I don't know. So I was not a fan. So I'm gonna keep going, obviously, because I have the ARC and I kind of like have to read it because I have to give a review. But yeah, I'm over halfway, so I'm just gonna kind of power through and see if it gets any better. This mystery is like stupid. Like, okay, this kid disappeared playing this game, right? And now these teenagers have to solve it. Like, why them? Why them? There was one twist I thought was going to happen, and if the twist had happened, I would have liked it, but the twist didn't happen. And maybe it still will. Like, I thought that Louisiana Veda that like created all these board games, I thought that she was still going to be alive because she died when she was like 37 years old, which I'm 37 years old, so this is weird. But anyway, she died when she was 37, and she committed suicide, supposedly. But I was like, maybe she's still alive. And then some people speculate she never really even existed, that people like made her up. But she was on like a TV show, but they could have hired an actor because she didn't do very many interviews. At one point, they receive a phone call with a voice that sounds like her, but they think it's like AI generated and stuff. But I was like, what if it's really her? Oh my gosh, if she was still alive and she was somehow doing something weird this whole time. I don't know. There better be some big reveals, but even then, it's just kind of weird. Nothing is really being solved. I don't like books like this. I like books like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder when it comes to like mysteries and thrillers. I think that if they find a clue and then they kind of like solve it, and then they find another clue and then they kind of solve it, I like that. When they just find a whole bunch of clues and nothing makes any sense and then it all just comes together at the end, I just don't find that as satisfying because I can't really latch on to anything as we go along. You know, it's just kind of like, okay, now this is happening. All right, now this is happening. All right, now this is happening. And I kind of feel like that's what's happening here. I do like the main character. I don't care as much about the other characters. Yeah, they're a little too eccentric to be regular teenagers, which I mean, yes, that's why they were chosen for this contest, was because they are different, I suppose. But it's just a little much. They just don't seem very real. So right now it's on track to be about 3 stars. I wanted it to be 5. I was, you know, it's my least favorite Marisha Pestle book so far. So wish me luck. I'll update you when I get close to the end. Do you think this ambiance will possibly get me in the mood to read a little bit more since this book's a little creepy? Maybe. I'm digging it. It's got cool music in the background. Reminds me kind of like Harry Potter, like a little bit. I just realized another thing that's not like jiving with me about this book, and it's the dialogue. It just doesn't sound realistic, like these people would talk this way. Let me show you what I mean. Take this line, for example. No wonder Louisiana, all those years later, came back here as a powerful woman and torched the library, muttered Franz. So he's literally interrupted the sentence with Louisiana, all those years later. So like the sentence would be no wonder Louisiana. I mean, there shouldn't even be a comma there. It should be like no wonder Louisiana. I don't know. Anyway, it's really weird. Like, I don't think people normally talk this way with all these things interrupting the sentence. And crazy, angry Penny trying to hunt her down. Do people really say like 2 adjectives in a row like that? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't sound like how people would talk. Comma, thinking she's a devil child. Like, once again, adding another like little phrase at the end of a sentence. I just don't feel like teenagers talk that way. Now I'm freezing. That was super duper cold. I dropped my child off at daycare just now and I'm headed to school to do some work, and it is 55 degrees outside. But I had to wear shorts today because the library is so hot, and I was afraid that it was going to be even hotter because they wouldn't have the air conditioning on because it's fall break. So anyway, I'm frozen. In some other news, I'm 75% of the way through, so this is my final update before the final update. And the update is that, I mean, I guess I like it enough that like I want to know how it's going to end. Like, I want to know what the final mystery is, but I still just don't care enough. Like, I'm still just so disappointed, and this happens every time. I mean, seriously, every time I start a book that at the beginning I think it's going to be 5 stars, and until the main character actually got to the place where she's doing this internship thing, right? Like, well, it's not even an internship, where she like won the competition and now she's here in England to solve this mystery or whatever. Like, when she was still back in the United States and like everything was just setting up, I thought it had so much potential, which makes sense though, because I love like the first book in a series more so than I do usually the subsequent books in the series. So I could see where that's probably the case with even just like the beginning of a book for me. But yeah, once she got there, it was just so ridiculous. And like, you know, the guy that she had a crush on in high school is in England with her. And you're like, what are the chances of that? Like, really? He wound up at the same place? Like, clearly, I mean, there must be some reason behind it, because if not, that's just ridiculous. But I don't know. Everything just seems way too contrived. Like, nothing seems natural. The way they talk doesn't seem natural. The plot itself doesn't seem natural. The fact this company wants these kids to solve this mystery, just the whole thing seems ridiculous. And I guess I cannot suspend my disbelief enough to enjoy this book. Now, maybe the ending will turn it around because it'll tie everything together in a way that, like, this all does make sense that teenagers would be doing this, that like this is all part of this game, or I mean, I'm just assuming that's what it is at this point, that this is all a game, that either Louisiana is still alive, possibly, which we did find out some reveals about her yesterday that I enjoyed, but they still seemed kind of just thrown in there. But then, or that the game, the thing they've been doing all along trying to solve this mystery is the game itself. Like, I mean, if that's what it is, then that seems like too obvious. So that yes, they're playing the game, but the game's really this other thing, and it's all like one big game. I don't know. I don't have a clue. Anyway, it's all really, really weird. So I was hoping I saw a review that said like everything that the author did was like purposeful, and that she had put so many different like layers into this or something. And right now I'm not getting that exactly. So of course it is young adult. It's a young adult book. What do I want from it? You know, I guess I want it to be adult. I don't know. Anyway, I'll tell you when I finish the book. Hopefully today I'll finish it, and I will let you know my final thoughts. So we're back to reading. We're finishing the book right now, but look at this. No, here it is. No teenager talks like this. I don't care what they say about this girl that is, supposedly she knows a lot of big words or whatever, but look, and she talks like old-timey. I don't even know this word. And I was an English teacher for years. Vertiginously long street. A crowd of white men told her, imperiously ignoring me. What? No teenager talks like this. This is ridiculous. You won't believe this. There it is again, 5 pages later. What? This is crazy. Why does she keep using this word? I think they need to take that out in the actual copy, because this is the advanced reader copy, so hopefully they will fix that. So I had to show you my lunch. It's a leftover hamburger patty, which is amazing. They're homemade, like you put all this stuff in it, and then also Spider-Man shaped macaroni and cheese. But the reason why I wanted this is because I just watched Peru's Project's one of her videos, Reagan, and she made a homemade mac and cheese. Well, she took boxed mac and cheese and then made it homemade because she put other stuff in it. And you know what? We're going to try this. I don't know. Will it melt? Let's see if this melts in there. If not, I can always stick it back in the microwave. And also, how much do I put? Oh, it seems to be melting. It might be like really gooey though. Oh well, I'm sure this is going to be phenomenal. So lunch and the book, and we are on page 269. I did it. I don't know why I'm smiling. I should say like, oh, I did it. I finished Darkly. That's about how I feel. This is going to be the quickest update ever because I gave this book 2 stars. 2 stars. I thought it was going to be 2.5. Well, first I thought it was going to be 3. And then it got so much more ridiculous at the end. Nothing made any sense. The way it tied up, one part of it was not predictable and was a twist, but I just didn't care at all. And then the very, very plot twist at the end was like the most obvious plot predictable thing ever. I saw it coming a mile away. Like, duh, of course that was going to happen. And then the very, very last thing that happened was just so stupid. Like, I can't even explain to you. The very, very like last page of what actually happened, I was like, no, this is ridiculous. Like, no, this book, you cannot suspend your disbelief enough to read this book. I don't even know. So I wound up giving it 2 stars, and now I'm gonna have to write a review, and I hate to have to do that because there are very few reviews of this on Goodreads right now. It is an ARC, and I love Marisha Pessl, obviously, because Neverwald Awaits one of my favorite books of all time, and I gave this book 2 stars, and I don't ever really want to think about it again because that's how much I didn't enjoy it. Welcome to the final book of this vlog. Also, I just had lunch. Spoiler alert, I had McDonald's. It was the $5 meal deal. I could not resist. Should I have had that? No, but you know what? I'm training for a half marathon, so I feel like I can just eat whatever I want. Although clearly that's not the case because I'm actually gaining weight. I'm gonna say I'm gaining muscle from running. Anyway, I wanted to update you about the 3rd and final book for this vlog, and I think that now what's crazy, right, is that Darkly thought it was gonna be 5 stars, gave it 2 stars. This next one, I actually thought going into it would actually not be very good, and it could be 5 stars. I don't know. I'm not gonna call it yet, because every time I call it 5 stars, it's not. The Bone Wars by Erin Evan. I have been wanting to read this book since May, when I did a little not a book talk, I did like a little activity with the students when they were coming in for their last library visit of the year. And I was previewing some books that they could read over the summer, and I wanted to show them some books that are on Mackin, like Mackin Via, which is our audiobook and ebook subscription service that we use. I wanted to show them some books that are on there that are not available at our school library, or they weren't until now, so that they could maybe find some new books while they were home for over the summer. And this is one of the books that I chose because it's on Mackin and it looked really good. And so it's called The Bone Wars, and apparently it's the first book in a series. It's going to be a series. This book came out last year, 2023. The Pirates of Montana. And on the back, there's only 2 blurbs. Both of them mention Dan Brown. It reads like a fast-paced Dan Brown adventure, ideal for dino nerds and casual sci-fi readers alike. The other one says The Bone Wars is the Da Vinci Code for the paleontology set. So I was like, okay, it's dinosaurs, but there's going to be some like secret organization with like a secret society. I don't know. I didn't know what it was, but I just knew that it was going to involve dinosaurs and obviously be something like the Da Vinci Code. That's pretty much all I knew. I read the little blurb. I thought it sounded pretty good. Well, I started this book yesterday, and I thought I'd get a little ways into it before I updated you so I could tell you what it was actually about. I wound up reading 100 pages of it. Like, I could not help myself. It's about 320 some pages, something like that. Actually, I'm on page 108. I could not help it. It was so good, and I'm so glad I'm not reading the audio of this. I think the audiobook I would not have enjoyed as much as reading it physically. I could like imagine what the characters, how they were talking. My favorite thing about this book so far is that there are different points of view. There's 4 different points of view. Now, does there really need to be 4? Probably not. But yes, this is technically a young adult book. It's even a Junior Library Guild selection or whatever standard, which I ordered this from Junior Library Guild. And it's really cool too, by the way. It's like slick. It is strangely slick. And it's just like, so it's not quite just a paperback. Like, I'm not going to be able to cover it with any stuff at school, but I won't need to because it's not going to rip and tear like a normal paperback. So why doesn't everybody get on board with these covers? Like, everybody should do this. Publishers, start doing this. Anyway, so there is a main teenage girl, right? Like, she's, 18 or whatever. She is the main character, so we get her point of view, but I didn't realize that it was going to go to other characters' points of view. The other 3 characters are all adults. They're all like paleontologists, and so that was way better. So honestly, so far it reads more adult than young adult. Like, everything that's happening is much more like adult. Like, it really is. I don't even know if you classify it as young adult just because it has one main character who is a young adult in it. I don't know. So far, like, you wouldn't say Jurassic Park's a young adult just because it like follows children around too, right? Like, children, I don't know. So anyway, this is nothing like Jurassic Park. It is set in the present day and there are no like living dinosaurs. They're just truly digging up bones. But I can't even tell you because it would be a spoiler, but about 80 pages in, there was a huge plot twist. They found these dinosaur bones, right? That are, it tells you at the beginning that the fossil that they have found in current day Montana is a large wing structure with a horned skull and black bones. And neither this famed fossil hunter nor a renowned paleontologist can place it in a recognized dinosaur family. And it says, for 65 million years, the Badlands of Montana have held a secret hidden in their depths. And it says, like, years ago in 1830, somebody from England, a paleontologist, was writing to somebody describing a fossil that she had found that was made out of black bone and had a large wing. And then apparently in Rome in 300 AD, I've not come across that in the book yet, Emperor Constantine converts the Roman Empire to Christianity. Over the next 2 decades, his armies destroy pagan idols across Europe and the Middle East. And I'm like, how's that going to come into play? I don't know. But the plot twist, oh my gosh, I was so hooked after that. You have no idea. This book is going to be so good. And I love the writing. I saw a review online that said, well, this is the author's first book. That, the writing's fine. She's clearly a scientist, which she is. She was a paleontologist, I think, isn't she? It says that she did research. I mean, I'm going to say, yeah, spending summers digging up fossils. So, I mean, it sounds like she is a paleontologist, but I like her writing. Honestly, I think it sounds really, really realistic. So I'm going to keep going. But so far, this book is on track to maybe be 5 stars. Quick update, I'm very tired and yeah, school started back. So anyway, this book, I am a little over halfway through the book, so I thought I should give you an update. And I'm not liking it quite as much as I thought I was. It's still good, but it's really similar to the Da Vinci Code now. It's like hard to kind of even suspend my disbelief enough to believe that some of the stuff's actually really happening in the Da Vinci Code. I guess I could suspend my disbelief, but this is getting a little ridiculous about people leaving clues and riddles, like paleontologists leaving riddles from the 1800s. I'm like, really? Did they do that though? Having secret hidden rooms in this museum, stuff like that. But they very suddenly, so they were in Montana, right? Like that's where this was taking place, where they were digging up this fossil. And then now they've very suddenly gone to London, just like overnight they're in London and now everything's happening in London. There was no getting there, which I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's very fast paced, which I guess that's why this book's young adult, because it is like super fast paced. But yeah, they get there really fast and they've even taken this teenage girl with them and her parents don't even know she's there. It's just like, it's bizarre that the whole crew is just up and gone to London. It's hard to believe, I mean, not that this is believable anyway, but whatever. Let's see my other complaints. I'm still enjoying it, but it is very similar to the Da Vinci Code. Like I said, just almost like too much so now that it seems kind of weird. Also, I do wish it were a little slower. Like, yes, the pace is, I guess that's good for young adults to be fast paced, but considering it's a multi-book series, I don't know. I mean, what's going to happen? There must be a ton of things. The only thing I can think, oh, sorry, my arm's getting sore. The only thing I can think is that possibly one of the points of view characters is going to be the bad guy. So you know how in the Da Vinci Code, the bad guy was actually, like, spoiler alert, the bad guy was actually the, like, old man character who, you know, had a cool name and everybody respected him. You know, he'd been around for years and he was, like, quirky and fun. Well, there's sort of a similar character in this book, kind of. And I'm like, is he going to be the bad guy? I think that would actually be wonderful. I would love that plot twist if that dude was the bad guy. I guess I would have seen it coming. It would have been kind of predictable, but I feel like that would be just a really cool plot twist. Maybe a little too much copying off Da Vinci Code, but whatever. But the problem is we see that character's point of view. And if we have a chapter from his point of view, like, wouldn't we know he's the bad guy? Unless he's hiding it from us. So now every time we get the point of view, sorry, my hand's shaking because I've had to hold this camera for a long time for something else. But anyway, we get that guy's point of view. So I'm like, okay, is he hiding the fact that he's the bad guy from us? So now every time that I get to one of that guy's chapters, I'm just like, are there any hints in here that he's the bad guy? So I don't know. We'll see. That'd be pretty cool if it happened. But the other problem, I mean, not that it's a problem. I hate to like nitpick because like I said, this book's actually really good. But do we really need all these points of view? Like we have the young adult character, like the young girl. Then we have the 3 adult characters, all 3 of the adult main characters. So we have 4 different points of view, goes back and forth just constantly between them. And I don't think it needs to. Like, I do love that there's an adult point of view. I think just 1 or maybe 2, but not 3 would be necessary. It just doesn't seem like that we need it, especially like the main girl character, like the older female character. She's not even that old. She's like an intern or something. But anyway, no, she's not an intern. Who is she? I can't remember. Anyway, she's like in college or something. But she just doesn't seem like that much different than the rest of them. And I forget like whose point of view I'm in sometimes. And I'm just like, why do we need that? Because they're all in the same scene at the same time. So we could really see that scene from anybody's point of view. Why do we have to keep jumping around, you know? But I'm going to keep going. I'm a little over halfway and I will keep you updated. Right now, it's on track to be still like a 4-star probably. So, I mean, if it picks back up again, it could be a 4.5. If it gets silly and ridiculous, it could go down to a 3.5. We shall see. But I loved the first part so much and I love that plot twist that already happened so much. So anyway, I'll keep you updated. Hello, it happened. I finished the Bone Wars. I've been in a book slump and I feel like it's been forever since I've updated you. This vlog is taking absolutely forever. I've been reading this book for like a month and a half. I don't even know. I finished it. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. That is very generous. I mean, the writing and technically like the plot and the characters, I mean, they're bad, like a 2-star. I mean, it's her first novel and you can kind of feel it. But I think that the plot twist at the beginning and the first like 25% of the book were really good. So I'm still going to give it 3.5. But if I were you, here's what I would not do. Don't read the reviews on Goodreads because they spoil the one thing that I thought was really interesting about this book. So I would not spoil it for yourself. Don't read the plot reviews because nobody's putting it as a spoiler. They're just saying the thing that I thought was really cool that happens like 25% into the book, the big kind of like first reveal. Now, I also think that saying the genre of this book kind of spoils the book for you. So I think I might have even said what genre it is before, and I don't even know what genre to label this as for our school library because once again, I feel like telling you the genre is almost a little bit of a spoiler going into it. So there's that. But yeah, no, this book's all over the place. Like the first part was so good where she's like the main character is mostly about the young girl and she's in Montana. And then all of a sudden they're in all these different countries with all these different points of views. And I don't know, maybe I'm just making this up, but I almost feel like that maybe the author intended this originally to be an adult book, but that then the publishers were like, there's the one young adult character. I mean, all the rest are adults though. We see all their points of view too. So like, what's the point of that if it's young adult? But they're like, you know, the writing style is not great. The writing's not great and it's pretty simplistic and there's really no depth to most of these characters. They're just jumping around from place to place. Like they just immediately get to the next place. Like things just happen very, 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 very fast. And they probably thought that seemed more young adult. So maybe it was supposed to be adult, but they're like, it reads very YA. So we're going to do that because I just don't feel like anything really in the plot or like, of course, the different characters jumping around leads you to really believe that it's YA. So I'm not really sure who this is even really meant for. But I mean, overall, I kind of enjoyed the premise of it. I just wish it were better. I don't know that I'm going to continue the series. It is going to be a series. Like it leaves off on a pretty big cliffhanger kind of situation. I mean, not really. I mean, kind of a little bit. And there was a plot twist at the end. There was a traitor. I knew there was going to be a traitor. And at some point, I actually did figure out who I thought who the traitor was. I was like, I think I know who the actual traitor is. And I was right. I mean, there was like some big clues, but they were like they didn't give you any clues really as to who the actual traitor was until like right really close to them revealing the traitor. So anyway, 3.5 stars. Probably should have been more like a 2 if you're actually judging the writing quality. Well, guys, we did it. We've reached the end of the vlog. What have we learned? That I apparently don't know my taste in young adult literature, because some things always surprise me that I like them, and then some things surprise me that I don't like them. So I'm not really sure what my tastes are, because in this vlog, we gave the first book, which was See You Yesterday, we gave it 3.5 stars. Shocking, actually, that I gave it that high. We gave Darkly 2 stars. Shocking that I gave it that low, because we thought I was going to love it. And then The Bone Wars was 3.5, which is probably about what I would expect it to be. No more, no less. But in previous vlogs, I have loved books that I thought I would hate. So I just don't know. So maybe in the comments down below, maybe recommend me some books you think I might enjoy. Just get some other things to give a shot. Maybe I should try to branch out, try some other young adult genres. Although I feel like I've tried several, you know, at this point. But I guess I need to try maybe some more, fantasy, sci-fi, not tried a historical fiction yet. Tried maybe horror. Actually, I tried a horror one once too, Asylum. It was pretty good. Anyway, I'm just rambling now, so let me know down below if you can think of anything else I should read, or if you enjoy these videos at all. Anyway, talk to you guys again soon. Bye.